Hi friends! Today I have a story for us about two mice families from different places who decide to trade homes with each other. Now we're going to get to read and find out what is the same and what's different about the two homes and what they learn about each other's families. It's called Town Mouse, Country Mouse, and it's written by Jan Brett. Now, if you remember, we've read a couple of books by Jan Brett together. We read The Mitten, and we read Annie and the Wild Animals. And Jan Brett likes to hide secret things in the borders or the corners of each page. So while we're reading, make sure you look around the borders to see if you can find out if she's hiding anything special. Here we go. One morning, the town mouse woke up shivering from a dream about the kitchen cat who prowled the house. "I need a vacation," he said to his wife. "Let me take you to the countryside where I was born. Life is quiet and peaceful there. The sun shines brightly every day, and the air is so clear that you can see the stars at night. Nothing will prepare you for the taste of wild blackberries. Let's go right away," she said. So the town mice packed a picnic and set off for the country. The country mouse and her husband were at their tree stump house, exhausted from searching for food and avoiding the hungry owl who lived nearby. "Sometimes I wish we lived in a townhouse where all the food you can eat is right there in the pantry. They say that the smell of cheese makes your whiskers tingle. Mine are tingling already," her husband exclaimed. So we've met our two mice family. One is a family who lives inside of a house, and one is a family who made their house inside of a tree. The town mice were outside of the country mice's house, putting a large chunk of cheese in the middle of their picnic cloth. They heard the town mouse exclaim, "This is the life! Wildflowers, spring peepers, if only we lived here." The country mice crept out. "You like it here?" they asked. "We've always wanted to live in a townhouse." The town mouse offered them a nibble of cheese. "Why don't we trade houses?" "We'll leave right away," said the country mice. They said goodbye, and each of the mice thought that they had gotten the better part of the bargain. Ooh, let's check out the borders. Here's that hungry owl that the wild country mice were talking about. Looks like the owl is watching. It was dark when the country mice arrived in town and found the house. They tiptoed inside and wandered into the sewing room, where they found what they thought was a sumptuous bed and fell sound asleep. Much too early the next morning, a loud clanging woke them up. Sooty clouds of smoke were pouring over them, and they heard a strange voice purring loudly. "Sauces and ham, it's hungry I am. Mice in my stew, wait till I catch you." "Who do you think that is?" the country mouse asked his wife. Let's check out the borders. It's the cat. The cat is living in the house and making food, saying that it's going to catch the mice. The town mouse and his wife were up with the birds, ready to gather wild blackberries in the grassy meadow for breakfast. They could smell them, they just couldn't find them. As the town mouse's wife turned to remind her husband to remember the way home, she felt a large wet drop on her head. "What was that?" she asked. "Is the bathtub leaking?" "No, we're in the country now. Those are raindrops." Then lightning lit up the sky and rain poured down as the two drenched mice ran wildly for their tree stump home. Uh-oh, there's that hungry owl again. The country mice were looking forward to their first splendid meal in the pantry. "I'm sure there's ham in the ice chest," that's another word for refrigerator, "and rolls in the bread box, but the best smell of all is coming from up there," the country mouse said. "It must be a fine old cheese. I'll climb on your shoulders and get it." but she couldn't quite reach it. "Stand on your tiptoes," she called down, but just as she got hold of the cheese, her husband lost his balance. The top slammed down, and she was left hanging by her tail. "Help! Help me! I'm caught!" Uh-oh, it looks like their loud banging woke up the cat. Back in the country, the town mouse had put on dry clothes. He was especially proud of his bright new jacket. "So colorful and eye-catching," he said. "Let's stroll in the forest. We'll come back loaded with acorns and hickory nuts." But their walk was soon interrupted. The town mouse's colorful coat was so eye-catching that it caught the eye of a curious black bird, and if his wife hadn't held him by the foot, he would have been carried off. Uh-oh. Not far away in town, the country mouse felt his wife's silky tail. "Nothing broken," he said, but he saw how sad and discouraged she was. "I know something that'll cheer us up. Follow me." He had spied a small window high above the pantry shelves. They climbed higher and higher, and when they reached the top, they looked out at a piece of the blue sky. "Doesn't it look like home?" the country mouse asked his wife. Uh-oh, look who's also trying to climb up with them. It's the hungry cat. And here comes the hungry owl again. The town mice stood quietly together after their awful bird scare. "I thought I had lost you forever," the town mouse whispered. They looked around. How still and peaceful it was now. The sun had come out and everything was glistening and green. "It is beautiful here. We should try to enjoy it." "I know," the town mouse said, "but I miss the sound of the town, all the hustle and bustle. I feel so alone here. And in our cozy townhouse, we know what to expect," the country mouse added. Uh-oh. What do we think that is? It's a big fox. The country mice knew to stay at home in a thunderstorm, and they knew what to expect from the hungry owl. But they soon found out that there were different dangers here when they discovered a tasty morsel of blue cheese sitting on a pine board. "This time you take the cheese. I'm still shaking from being caught in the cheese box," the country mouse said. So her husband crept toward the cheese, whiskers trembling. As he reached it, his foot slipped, and he heard a whoosh, followed by an enormous snap, and he was thrown across the room. Oh no, it was a mouse trap, something that people and I guess cats use to try to catch mice. He landed in a warm bundle of something soft and furry. Uh-oh. What do we know that's soft and furry in this house? I hope it's not the hungry cat. The country mouse was shaking from its close call. "I can barely stand," he winced as his wife pulled him up and patted down his crumpled whiskers. It was then that she noticed the bundle that the country mouse had landed was tipping and turning. It was alive. Two green eyes snapped open. "Run!" she cried, getting a good look at it. "It's an owl with teeth." Uh-oh. It's not the owl, it's the cat, and it's chasing them. The town mice knew how to avoid the mouse traps set with cheese, but they soon found that the country has its own perils when they explored the riverbank. Suddenly the water began to boil and churn, and a huge wet head popped up and stared at them. It was a river otter. The mice tore back to their tree stump home, only to find that a hedgehog rolled into a ball in front of the door. Then they heard an animal crashing through the underbrush. "I can't take this anymore," the town mouse quaked, and she raced for the nearest tree. From the tree, they could see the town lights blink on as the sun went down and the stars came out one by one. "What shall we do?" the town mice said. But before she could answer, she saw a pair of glowing eyes right beside them, and they were face to face with the most terrifying creature of all. "A cat with wings!" shrieked the town mice. "That's it for me!" And they ran down the tree and toward the town as fast as their legs could take them. So the town mice thought that the owl was a cat with wings, and the country mice thought that the cat was an owl with teeth and without wings. So they both had dangerous parts of living in their homes, but they knew how to do it when they were in their own homes. The town mice headed frantically along the road, and the country mice were fleeing in terror towards the country. Their paths crossed, but neither saw the other. They were too frightened. Even the sky seemed to be falling down on them. The country mice didn't stop running until they could see their tree stump in the distance. And there's our owl and our cat both trying to eat the mice. The town mice kept on running until they reached their townhouse. The musty smell of old wood and smoke from the kitchen all seemed wonderful. Even the street sounds outside sounded cheerful and friendly. There's no place like home, sighed the town mice as they settled into their warm old slipper. There's no place like home. Atop their cozy tree stump house, the country mice looked up at the full moon shining down on them. They sighed happily. There's no place like home, they said together. Back on the road, the cat and the owl had knocked each other out when they collided head on. The cat, slowly waking up, touched his bruised head gingerly. He looked up to see the owl brushing his wings off. It was then that the cat had an idea. Owl, how would you like to trade places with me? I've always wanted to try this living in a house in the country. The end. So, friends, we got to read and see how the two families felt when they switched homes and learned about the different dangerous things that the other homes had to deal with. We also got to see that they love their own homes the most of all. Thanks for reading with me. I hope you have a great rest of your day. Bye.